Freebie's tail was a blur as she snuffled and snorted a slow zigzag through the alders. Abruptly she stopped, poised with her weight, canted precariously forward. "We finally got a point over here," I called to Keith on my right flank. The stick farm, our morning leg stretcher, had been empty. John's Knoll, the sun-drenched slope, where a mix of poplar, pine and apple grew, also empty. Arnold's pasture, muck-bottomed and alder-studded, fertilized and trampled by the old farmer's dairy cows, empty. We had startled some spawn-minded native brookies from a rocky pool in the little rill that meandered behind the hippie house. But no woodcock. There didn't seem to be a woodcock in the entire state of Maine. For the previous several years, I'd been studying reports and talking with biologists and game wardens and hunters. Woodcock were in trouble, everyone had agreed. I'd seen the evidence myself, but I'd fooled myself into discounting it. I'd blamed the dog. I figured we'd been looking in the wrong places or had mistimed the flights. I didn't want to believe it. But on this day, the second Saturday of October, usually prime time, I believed it. The woods were empty of the lovely little game birds. Woodcock were definitely in trouble. I eased myself forward toward the dog on point. "Easy, Freeb," I murmured. "Good girl. Steady now." She rolled her eyes back at me. I stepped in front of her. The round little bird rose with its characteristic twitter. Slow motion, angling sharply upward to the top of the alders, pausing there as if it might lose its struggle against gravity, then slanting to its left, quartering away. My shotgun had mounted itself, and the bird was a lollipop over the muzzle. An easy shot. A gimme. "Bang," I said. The woodcock continued to fly. I fired my second verbal barrel. Bang. Then I lowered my gun and watched it glide into the alder swamp beyond the field. Keith came over. "Did I hear a woodcock get up?" "Yep." "About time. Freebie busted." "Nope. She did good." "You didn't shoot," said Keith. "Safety stuck," I lied. "I thought I heard you say something," he said. "Swearing at your gun again, huh?" "I gotta do something about that damn safety," I said. "Get a line on the bird?" "Nope," he shrugged. "No harm. One woodcock doesn't make much of a meal. Anyway, I kinda like knowing it's still out there." "Me too," I said. "According to the Seneca Indians, after the Maker finished creating all the creatures of the earth, he looked around and realized he had some leftover parts lying around. There was a small pile of feathers, not big flashy ones, for those had been taken by the glamorous species he had already created, but drab earth-toned shades of grey and brown. There was a head, but the brain was upside down, and the ears were misplaced in front of the boggled eyes, and the beak was disproportionately long. The Maker found a chunky little body and stubby legs and sturdy but graceless wings. It was an ill-matched assortment of parts, but because the Maker hated to waste anything, he put them all together and called it a woodcock. The Maker realized he'd short-changed the little bird in the body parts department, so he compensated by giving the woodcock an extra infusion of courage, stamina, wisdom, and mystery. When humans decided to bestow upon the woodcock a proper Greek name, they called him Philohela minor, which means little sun lover, a profound misnomer. Woodcocks migrate by night and stick close to thick cover during the day. Early observers, noticing how woodcocks kept plunging those long, prehensile beaks into the soft ground, surmised that they ate mud. Even today, some people call them bog suckers or mudsuckers, or, because of their erratic nocturnal flights, mudbats. They also go by regional nicknames: wood snipe, mud snipe, timberdoodle. Frank Woolner, who wrote lovingly of the woodcock, proposed whistledoodle, but it didn't stick. Burton L. Spiller, the author of several classic upland hunting books, and my beloved old mentor, called them little russet fellers. I always liked that. Sometime around the middle of March, the woodcocks return home to New England from their winter sojourns in places as far south as Louisiana. They've been flying northward for several weeks, impelled by what? By the changing angle of the sun, by the sniff of warming air, by a new moon phase, by the northward shift of prevailing winds. By nature's most powerful urge of all, the instinct to procreate. A combination of all of these things, no doubt, fine-tuned over countless generations and firmly embedded in woodcock DNA to assure the survival of their species. One thing is certain, the family urge is upon them. They fly by night, rest by day, and feed hardly at all. beating relentlessly northward to the precise field or hillside where they were born. Their hormones fuel their single-minded purpose. The males stake out their territory, their singing grounds, and the females wait nearby to be courted. Biologists have yet to find a more reliable method for taking their annual American woodcock census than by counting the birds they hear singing in the evenings during their mating season and comparing the numbers with those of previous years. The comparisons haven't been positive for a long time. Spying on courting woodcocks has always been a springtime ritual for me. As much as cutting pussy willows, watching the ice break up in my pond, spotting my first robin, seeing my first mayfly, or casting to my season's first trout, hearing my year's first woodcock song marks the certain end of a long New England winter. The American woodcock is a peculiar, private, funny-looking, and altogether lovable little bird. Aside from a small breed of peculiar, private, funny-looking, and generally lovable sportsmen who hunt them with pointing dogs and double-barreled shotguns, few people are aware of the woodcock or would recognize one if they saw one, even though they are not uncommon in their two flyways along the Mississippi River and the Atlantic coast. Woodcocks lurk in dark alder tangles or remote birch and aspen hillsides by day, where they make their living by plucking worms from the earth. Unless they're disturbed, they fly mostly by night, and their flights are short except during their October and March migrations. Then they beat their little wings purposefully and travel thousands of miles. Those of us who have made the woodcock's acquaintance find them elusive, mysterious, admirable, and altogether lovable. We worry about them, for their populations have been declining steadily for more than 40 years. Their habitat is disappearing steadily. It's as simple and complicated as that, and there is no reason to think they will recover. We still hunt them in the fall because we know that we are the least of their problems, and because hunting them teaches us to understand and admire and love them. Some of us might sometimes choose not to shoot them, but we still love to hunt them with good pointing dogs, and we seek them out in March when they return from their wintering grounds so that we can celebrate the arrival of springtime with them. I pick a cool March evening after a warm day, that delicious time of year when old snow still huddles in dirty patches under the evergreens, but the fields lie brown and bare, and the earth is soft and the brooks run full with snowmelt. I hunker at the edge of a winter-flattened meadow facing the pewter and pink western horizon, not far from my house in southwestern New Hampshire, and I watch the light fade from the sky. I know it will start about the time the evening's first star winks on. But no matter how expectant I am, the sudden buzz always startles me, by both its proximity and harshness. It sounds like the scrape of a thumbnail across the teeth of a metal comb. It is technically a song, but it's hardly melodious. It's called, inexplicably, a peent. The little bird struts self-importantly on the bare ground, not 20 feet from where I crouch. His chest is inflated, and his long beak jabs rhythmically at the ground. He swaggers and bobs back and forth like a wind-up toy, buzzing like a summertime cicada. In fact, a woodcock looks like a large, boggle-eyed insect. Abruptly, he flushes. With a musical whistle of wings, he angles across the field. Then he begins to spiral up into the pale evening sky. He rises higher and higher until he disappears from sight, although I can still hear his distant, muted twitter. A moment later he reappears, zigzagging and parachuting back to earth like an autumn leaf on a soft breeze. As he descends, he utters a different tone, a liquid kissing note. He lands beside me, almost precisely at the spot where I first spotted him. He peents, preens, struts, then flushes again, full of heedless, hot-blooded passion. He repeats his elaborate, intensely self-absorbed dance several times while the light fades from the sky and the night grows chilly. Soon it is full dark. The performance has ended. I stand, gaze up for a moment at the star-filled evening sky, then walk back out of the woods. The air still feels winter cold, but I am warmed by the certain knowledge that my woodcocks have returned for one more season at least, and spring has finally come to New England. Republished with permission from Little Russet Fellers. By William G. Tapley, 2009. The Upland Almanac, Spring 2009. 2009 by William G. Tapley.